So here we are. Let me also just press OK. Abhi, are you doing the mute now? It's all done.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I actually told Abhi, when next you need a speaker, please tell me. I want to talk about something I've just been recently studying. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Annalise Pierce. People call me Anna. I've been with doTERRA since 2020, way before we opened, in India. And my mentors have been and are Suzanne and Becky. So I owe a lot of gratitude to what I know from them. And this current information that I'm sharing with you is again about, as Abhi said, it's olfactory enrichment. And it's based, and I'm going to end with that and the whole research around that. But it is again skewed or aimed at, building better cognition skills. So not really, we're not talking about dementia or people that have reduced cognition, but this is for those of us who now know how important it is to, start exercising and improving our environment, our sensory environment, in order to be able to keep everything around or about us. So I've picked, and this is based again on a course that I'm doing with Robert Tisserand. He is, of course, one of the leading essential oil safety experts. And this is the research that he's been sharing with us in a course called AromaPsychology. So that's a bit of what you're going to be experiencing, today. Let me share my screen, and it's not a long presentation, so we will have time for questions as well. Can you see my screen? Thanks, Suzanne. So a little bit about why do I do this? Why do I teach doTERRA oils? Now, apart from the universe conspiring and bringing, doTERRA my way, I honestly realized, and this was very early on, that the way we've been using essential oils, at least the way I was exposed to essential oils, which was just in a spa massage where some diffuser, was really not doing the oil any justice. For me, I realized when I began to read more about the oils I was using in a soap making class that these are living, breathing, intelligent molecules, that they understand exactly what your body needs. And the more I went, down that rabbit hole, the more I realized that I wanted to teach people that. I wanted people to realize that it's not just an oil you slap on yourself, or what oil do you buy? What is quality? Why does quality matter? Why does purity matter? So that's my mission. And my playground is teaching yin yoga. I specialize in yin yoga. So I use the essential oils in my practice with my students and teach teachers how to use essential oils in a yoga practice, to tie in with the elements, the meridian lines, the chakras, and all of that. So what are we going to do this evening is explore just a few oils that can really break open the head, in quotes. Yeah. So take a notebook, take screenshots. Everything is allowed. Write questions in the chat box. I know Suzanne and Becky will also have a keen eye on the chat box for me because I can't see it right now. So here we go. So what is an essential oil? Just a quick recap. I know many of us on the call are already seasoned wellness advocates, and I know that there are a couple of us here invited to, a Thursday night education class. So what is an essential oil? These are pure, potent, okay, not pure, but unless of course it's doTERRA, but these are potent plant extracts. So potent that they're about 50 times more potent than the plant itself. And it's an extract that is, got either through steam distillation or cold press. These are the two more common ones, from either the bark, the leaf, the stem, the root. It can be the fruit. So every part, the flower, every part of the plant can be used. So these are volatile. That means they can immediately evaporate into the air. Right? So keep these things in mind, because this is what makes an essential oil very, very powerful. And depending again on the size of the molecule and the weight of the molecule, these will have different effects on the body because they each have a different chemical makeup. I'm not going into too much of the chemistry this evening, but just to give you an idea that they all have a slightly different function. And how do they work on the body? Because they are, they can dissolve in oil, they permeate the cell membrane, they move into the cell membrane and take oxygen into a diseased cell or pull out a toxin from a cell. So that is how, again, they're able to work with us at that cellular level. Having said that, tonight we're going to focus more on how it actually works, like right into the psychological, uh, into the brain, into the nasal, the olfactory processes. We will talk a little bit about ingestion and topical application, but my main focus today is inhaling. So just an idea of how potent one drop of peppermint oil is equivalent to 28 cups of peppermint tea. So my first and my biggest message when I tell people about essential oils is less is more. Respect these molecules because they are really, really strong. And why doTERRA? So I've done, my research. I've used oils before I met Suzanne. And I had my ear, out there saying one day when I go to the States, I'll pick up some doTERRA because we weren't in India then. And of course, Suzanne, had an advertisement. I heard about doTERRA and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe the world's purest oils are coming to India. So when you look at the kind of work you want to do therapeutically, purity matters. And I know I can vouch for doTERRA because even you, when you pick up your bottle, there is a code at the bottom of each bottle. You can feed that code into a website called Source to You, and you get the whole pedigree of the bottle that you're holding, the chemistry, the purity, and how are essential oils like this different from a fragrance? It's because there are no synthetic additives. There's no filler. There's nothing but pure plant extract. Yeah? That is something you really want to keep in mind. And the other thing to also remember that it's different from food, flavoring. So the essential oil can, especially the doTERRA ones, and I'll show you, we have a little green dot on our bottles in India. That means that these oils can be taken internally. But these oils also carry their nutritional or their therapeutic benefits, which sets them apart from just a food, additive of food flavoring. So when you think purity, when you think about, using oils therapeutically, I wouldn't settle for anything less. And this message I have because I'm an educator. I'm a doTERRA wellness advocate. I educate people on the safety and the right use of oils. Please do not buy our oils on Amazon. That is not legitimate doTERRA product. So setting all those important messages aside, here we go. 3 ways to use essential oils, as I've been, talking about earlier. One is aromatically, which means you're breathing in the oil, either directly from the bottle, or maybe you're putting it on your palm, rubbing your palms together, breathing the oil in, or maybe you have a diffuser. And I'm going to show you a couple of diffuser in our deck as well. Topically means you're putting it on your body. And again, I would highly advise you dilute your essential oils in a carrier oil. So again, we have something called the fractionated coconut oil, which is brilliant because the coconut oil remains liquid through the year. So I know in the good old days when I didn't have access to this, I would make a roller with regular coconut oil, and then suddenly in the winter, my entire roller bottle is unusable because the oil is solidified. So this coconut oil, it has no smell. It's a brilliant base in which you put your essential oil drops, and it doesn't reduce the efficacy or the potency of your mix, it actually breaks the essential oils down into smaller molecules. So there's a lot, a better spread. You get a lot more real estate covered that way. So you've got the topical. And the last one, which is again specific to our essential oils, those are our essential oils, which is the internal use. And again, not all of our oils are ingestible. You will see a little green dot in our India shop. They fall under the food oils. So you want to look over there. Now, I'm going to cover just a few oils. Please, make a note of these oils and, see, you'll find the one or two that really call to you, or you might want to access, your brain project through a couple of these choices. So why am I talking specifically about, inhaling the oil today? Is because that's the quickest way to get into the head, the quickest way to affect your mood and your mental capacity. So what happens when you breathe in an oil? It goes right through into the olfactory bulb. And the space just here at the top of your nostrils is like the thinnest part where the brain is actually quite exposed to the outside. And these tiny volatile molecules can make their way through the blood-brain barrier into your limbic brain. And what's interesting is it affects the limbic brain because that is your emotional center. So, in 22 seconds, it is believed that an essential oil is in the head. In 2 minutes, it enters your bloodstream. And in 20 minutes, it's in every cell of the body. And also when you inhale, you're also breathing it in. So again, through that whole network of, what are those alveoli in the lungs, it's also getting into your bloodstream from there. So I keep telling people when you're using your oil, smell it too. Say you're using it topically. Say you're going to be drinking something. Smell your oil too. Just like you would do a nice meal. Like I don't know if everyone does that, but I like to smell my food before I eat it. It just kind of starts the whole digestive process anyway. Am I going too fast? Is everyone okay? Thanks, Suzanne. I can see Suzanne and Abhi, but I'm hoping that everyone else is happy. Thanks, Nikki. So these are the 4 oils that I've gleaned from, the modules I've been studying specific to memory, cognition, focus, remaining alert. In fact, my mom, I'm very proud of mom because she's been coming onto calls and she hears us talk and teach. She asked me the other day, she says, do you have any rosemary? I almost fist pumped her because this is like the #1 oil. When it comes to anything to do with the head, from the 1600s, they've been talking about rosemary. So rosemary is like this one major player that you want in your, in your bag, if it is these areas that you're focusing on. Improving cognition. What is cognition? It's your learning ability, paying attention, your ability to discern, make decisions. To, of course, did I say memory? Memory. So these are, the areas that show you that, okay, your mind's working like it should. And I think for me, as I've kind of come into like menopause, the whole brain fog is a real thing. I don't know if it's for everybody, but brain fog is a real thing. So you really now want to be taking care of that too. Peppermint is the second, oil that I want to talk about. But in all the research that I've been looking at, interestingly, peppermint does even better than rosemary. Interesting. Peppermint. So when they did like comparative studies on memory, on focus, on just completely being alert, peppermint's been coming up on top. So, and it's an easy oil. It's a quick oil. All you have to do is breathe it in. I, of course, love to put a little bit on the back of my neck just to keep me cool. But remember, if you want to affect the brain, breathe your oil in. So rosemary, peppermint, spearmint. Now it has a slightly different chemistry from peppermint. Spearmint is like your evening mint. So it's not as, not as, what is the word? It's, I'm hearing bright. This is like synesthesia. It's not as bright as peppermint. It's more quieter, but it still has the ability to, create more focus, more alertness, but in a very gentle, eveningish manner. So it's got, while peppermint has menthol, this has carbon. So I would still say use these three and see which ones really make you feel good, or use them in combination. And we've got all of these in the India market. So I would actually go for peppermint first. There was a nice combination for, like for absolute focus, where they talked about having more peppermint, less rosemary, and a little dash of cinnamon. That's why I've also included cinnamon on this slide, because cinnamon, interestingly, works on, again, the other hormone, the epinephrine, and it also regulates the insulin in the brain, your sugar balance in the brain, all of which can create, that kind of heavy fatigue, foggy feeling. So a few contraindications for diffusion or for inhaling. Again, peppermint is all right, but if you were going to ingest or use these oils topically, rosemary and peppermint would be contraindicated, especially rosemary, contraindicated in people with epilepsy. So please make a note of that. High blood pressure, pregnancy. These are, times when you want to be careful using these oils, because they have a certain, chemical component that is contraindicated. So when I'm talking about diffusion or inhaling, again, less is more, always. Any questions so far on this slide? Take a screenshot so you can always go back to it. And even when we talk about, a diffuser, 3 to 5 drops is, say, the average, but also each manufacturer would have their own recommendation. And it also depends on what this, the range of the diffuser is and the space that you're using the diffuser in. So I personally have stopped using any diffusers that have a candle that lights or heats up the oil, because it changes the chemical constituent, composition of the oil. I'd rather use our, what are those called? The nano diffusers, the electric ones that create a cool steam of the essential oil mist that again diffuses into the air. I wouldn't put my face over the mist either. I just allow it to diffuse in the room, close by. So these are your 4 major players. Here's another angle that I looked at. I said, okay, so what else creates, this kind of inability to think clearly, or, to actually be like on top of your game? And go figure, right? It's stress. So lavender, everybody knows. Everybody knows that it's the worry what's oil. It's the, anxiety oil. But Petit grain it's now in India. I'm so excited to have it here. It smells like a beautiful cologne. It just has this lovely memory for me, and it's called the brother of lavender. So if for some reason lavender does not feel right for you, check out Petit grain. It has similar chemistry and does similar work. Net, its aim is to reduce the stress so that it clears the mind, balances the mood. So you're looking at everything from, reducing cortisol, boosting dopamine, making your brain function with all of those juicy, the right chemicals getting to it through these beautiful, intuitive, essential oil molecules. So again, I've talked about being able to use it topically. So you can mix 1 or 2 drops in a carrier oil, like I said, fractionated coconut oil, and apply it on your skin. Now, where would I put lavender or petit grain? First, I would, of course, smell it and then maybe put it on pulse points. I love to put, a lot of my oils on my heart. It just feels right for me there. But you can also put, your oil. I don't know if you can see me in the inset, but just behind your ear. the quickest access to your vagus nerve is there, both sides. And then I wanted to, I mean, this is something that not many people talk about, but it's imperative. And I know this is something that Becky's mission is, and Becky's been teaching this, to us, saying everything begins in the gut. All your health begins in the gut. So, Digest Zen is our blend, which has just the right combination of the best oils to support your digestive health. And I know if you go back and you actually look at patterns for those days when you had like a heavy head or fuzzy head or brain fog, it could possibly be days when you're constipated or you've been running to the loo or you're extremely fatigued because of something you ate and couldn't digest properly. So this is another angle from where I would address better clarity in the mind. So Digest Zen, this is one of our ingestible oils. So I would put a drop in like 120 ml of liquid. I have a little glass like right now. Yeah. Always use glass. You're not using copper, you're not using plastic. You could use steel, but glass would be the best thing to use because then the essential oil does not react with any other material. And then sip, your drop of Digest Zen. Remember also, please inhale it before you drink. And the other one that I looked at was breathe. Now, your digestion and your respiratory system are so closely related. So when you're stressed, then your respiration also kind of goes out of whack. Or if you're bloated, because that bloating tends to push the diaphragm up, your respiration suffers. And that creates anxiety. And then there's this whole vicious cycle. And then you can't think clearly. So breathe is the other blend. So how many oils, guys, do you really need to have? The 3 in the beginning plus the cinnamon for magic. And then you want your lavender or petitgrain, or why not both? But then these two you definitely want to have in your kit. I never, ever run out of Digest Zen or breathe. Those of you who do other, healing work will know that breathe is great also for grief. So when you're feeling heavy and sad, that also affects the way, you deal with life or you see life. This is really fast. This was a quick class. But now for like the real meaty piece. This was something that I came across in the module that we were studying, and I said, man, if people just knew this. So what the research, and I will share this link with you all in the chat as well. What this research says is that the older we get, and I'm thinking, why wait? Why wait till we're 60 to do this? Right? So this was run on a group of people between 60 and 85. And they found that their ability to, especially for verbal memory and the words, I think it was like some 229% improvement. And then the idea is to expose your environment, or expose your brain to varied sensory experiences. And so what they've done is they've taken 7 essential oils, right? You choose these 7 essential oils and you diffuse them every night for 2 hours. And the benefit of having a good diffuser like this is that you can actually set the timer, so you don't have to wake up in the middle of the night to put it off. So you have your diffuser with one oil every night, and you rotate it every week for 6 months. As simple as that. And these were the oils that they used. They used eucalyptus, lavender, lemon, orange, peppermint, rose, and rosemary. Now, if you don't have rose, you can always mix it up with something close. You can do maybe, I would use maybe patchouli, or I might use geranium, the poor man's rose. So this was really what I wanted us to maybe experiment. Take this up as I mean, you can't lose, right? Just to diffuse one oil and do the same oil in rotation. So every Monday, maybe you're starting with eucalyptus, and then you go up to rosemary, and then you come back to eucalyptus the next Monday for 6 months for 2 hours a night. And this is what they found really helps improve your cognitive abilities. And this was conducted on people that did not have any signs of, reduced cognition. So we're not talking dementia. We're talking about just keeping, the engine well oiled. And therein ends my lesson tonight. I'm happy to chat. I'm happy to, answer questions. Hopefully I'll know all the answers or not. And we'll take it from there. Abhi? Let me just share this in the chat for you all. This was the research. You all can go, if you're a geek like me, you might want to go deeper into what they did, how they did it. So nice to see you here, Richa. Any questions? Thanks, Rupert.